Thank you all for coming this morning. We are here to announce a joint partnership between the Chamber of Commerce and Visit Rochester. The book we have is We Rock It. We are announcing a second edition today, and a little background on the book We Rock. A little over a year ago, a friend suggested that we should have a brag book. I wasn't sure what a brag book was, so we did a little research, and she had cited Pittsburgh as one place that had one. So we had a team that went to work and compiled a book about really reinforcing the pride we have in Rochester and the Finger Lakes region. And put it together. It was put together initially inside here, and I think the overall response I thought was very, very positive. But as we thought through this whole process, we wanted to partner with Visit Rochester, and it really is about all of us coming together and promoting Rochester. And I will say this, I've known Don Jeffries for many years in previous lives and careers, and I think he and Visit Rochester have done an outstanding job promoting this region. So very, very proud to join with Don today in a new edition. We have a cover letter inside you can see behind us. We work together on this in both organizations. Our goal really is to promote our region and create prosperity for our businesses and our community. And it's a perfect partnership for us to have this, and very proud to do it. So we're unveiling the second edition today, and have Don say a few comments and certainly answer any of your questions.
Great, thank you, thank you. When Bob called me, I was thrilled. We had seen the first edition to that, and we thought, you know, how cool is this? It really promotes the region, and I want to thank your team for putting this together. It's fabulous. The co-branding of the We Rock Guide is something that we're really looking forward to. You know, the Chamber and Visit Rochester are a lot alike. We're the head cheerleaders for the region and for Rochester and Monroe County. And so we can use this to promote and the Finger Lakes region as well as Rochester. Visit Rochester is a sales and marketing organization. And tourism is really important to the economy. If you look at it, you know, tourism in Monroe County alone is $1 billion economic impact, and 20,000 jobs are created. And the sales tax, the hotel tax, the revenue we receive is a fabulous part of what we do. And to partner with Bob Duffy and the amazing staff at the Chamber is just an honor for us. And I think it shows, and Bob and I have talked for a long time about working together. And you know, Bob has been the head cheerleader of pulling everybody together in the community, and this is one big step toward that.
Well, I think that, and you know, the one thing that I think drives us both crazy is when you get on a plane with somebody, they talk about Rochester, what do they say? They talk about the weather, they talk about you know, snow and cold. Well, you know, snow turns into water, and water is a great resource for us. But they don't take time to think about the pride we have. And when you look at the book and go through, there's 10 different areas that outlines different categories that really have some great historical information, but some great sources of pride. And what Don and I want everybody to do is every single day cheerlead for this city and this region. Every chance you get, tell your friends when you're traveling, bring books. I have a box in my car. Everywhere we go, we try and hand them out. When I have visitors come in, family from out of state, I give them the book. And people are really struck with this. And myself and Matt Hurlbut recently met with a couple of business leaders from out of state. Can't say who or when. But the first thing we did was give them a copy of this book. As we're meeting, they're thumbing through the book looking at this. So I've always felt Rochester is the best kept secret in New York State. I'll include the Finger Lakes region with that. It's one of the most aesthetically beautiful places on earth. We have it right here. We have all these resources. We just don't tell our story enough. And I'll go back to my time in Albany. I would be in New York City and in Albany. And who would I see but Don Jeffries and the Visit Rochester team promoting this region time and time again, and doing it with great pride. So part of it is just us coming together, because as Don said, we're great cheerleaders for it. We believe in this. It's an easy place to sell, and we just want to make sure that people get the word out. And when you get asked about your hometown, your region, start spouting off some of the things that are really important, some of the factoids that make us proud. We look at people coming in. We have businesses relocating here, people looking to relocate here, families that move here, and time again, so it's a great resource to show them what this area is all about.
And we want people to see what we have. This weekend's a great example. We have the Can-Am volleyball tournament here, 1,500 volleyball men's volleyball players from Canada and all over the Northeast. We have 700 swimmers this weekend out at the Aquatic Center in Webster. We've got 50 hockey teams at the Bill Gray's Iceplex, all out of town, all spending money in Rochester. So we're pretty excited about this, and this is a great tool. When we're out at the Iceplex and they have over 1 million people go through that building, here, look what we have.
Straw Museum, if I could just add, not too far from where we are, one of the highest rated tourism locations in North America. Every time you go through that lot, you drive in, you see people here. As Don mentioned, I was at one of our local restaurants a few months ago getting takeout for my family. I was behind a line of probably 50 people with hockey uniforms on. And we are becoming a great focal point for youth sports. People coming here and that means kids coming to play sports. It could be soccer, hockey, as Don mentioned. But mom and dad come to and chaperones in hotels and restaurants, and all this really adds to the economy. So it really is about talking up Rochester, and I just maybe close my thoughts on this. We have to get back and think about one thing. If you, Don and I are probably a little bit older than some people here at the table, but one of the things I would remember, and I hope you do too, is the song "I'd Rather Be in Rochester." If you go back a few years ago, it was created here. And you had different people, leaders, singing tunes on TV. I won't do it for you, but I can hum the tune right now. But back then, it really was great seeing people that maybe you hear about, business leaders, other leaders here, neighborhood residents, getting into perhaps just the passion of this place. And what we have to do is recreate that sense of pride again. In a world of negativity, come on back and really be grateful for what we have. And for all of us that travel, I think if you feel the same way, you might travel and go to meetings and go places, but like Dorothy said, there's no place like home. And to come back here, and we need to just keep pushing that. So,
Great.
Questions?
How many of the booklets did you distribute last year, and what was the impact on Rochester?
I think was it 10,000? I think we put
10,000
we put out. You know, we talked before, it's hard to measure impact because people have it. You don't know. Don could promote this area and put things out, and somebody comes in with their family. We don't know why they came in, but they come in, they spend a weekend or a week, and they go to restaurants. But the feedback has been great. And, what I'm proud of, this was all done in-house. This was done, and I don't take credit. I have 4 members of our team here, Dan Smith being one, Shan Ely, Kristen Graves, and Colleen DiMartino, worked for months. And I remember sitting with Dan, it was last February, and said, we're going to create a book. And it took a few months to do it, but it was research, working with the library, leaders, people like Don, all the agencies here. All we do is compile these little factoids. And everyone that has looked at it, I think they see things they might not have known, or they see things that just reinforces some pride. So I think the impact has been positive. The impact is far more positive partnering with Visit Rochester. I think the bandwidth that Don and his team have, and all of us working together, and maybe as we go down the road, more agencies will come on board. I think the more we kind of collaborate on things like this and have a greater reach, the more benefit we'll have. But as Don said, tourism is a huge economic driver here. In terms of jobs, sales tax revenue, restaurants, hotels, gas, food, you name it. Though it's hard to quantify that. When I was a mayor, I used to say that every dollar circulates probably 5 to 7 times in this area. And so I think we could look at every visitor comes in, every team that's brought in here, every tour group, every convention, it has a big impact on us.
And the neat thing about the tourism is it's new dollars. When Bob and I get our paychecks and go to Wegmans and buy food, we're recirculating money. This is all new money. When the average convention person comes to Rochester, they spend between $250 and $450 a night in Rochester. And that's as Bob said, it's our restaurants, it's our hotels. So it's a big economic impact.
If I could plug the media too, and not to be gratuitous, but there was a time in our region here, I think that all you saw was bad news. And I think that the media here has done a great job. When things happen, they're not positive, you report that, but really looking for great positive stories, human interest stories that really ends up, I think, inspiring people. And I see that in publications and in the print and electronic media, see it on social media. I think those things are great, and what we want to do is keep promoting the positive. For us in our social media stuff, I don't think you see too much negative things. You find good things, you find great stories, and put it out there. We have a great story to tell. And one thing I've listened to somebody tell me recently is that facts matter, but stories move people. So I think the more that we can end up telling stories and examples, I think that the more we can talk about. And I just look at all the data. If I go back to I say this, it's my third time I've said it, but I was always moved by it, to be out of my home and be in New York or in Albany and see, the leader of Visit Rochester with a team promoting this area and promoting it with great passion. I always had great pride in it. I mean, I really did, and that's what we have to do. And I think all of us have a responsibility, not just Visit Rochester and Chamber, but everybody has a responsibility to promote this area and push it.
When an outsider hears the words Finger Lakes region, what do you want them to associate with that, those three words?
Most beautiful region on earth, a great urban core, beautiful suburbs, rolling hills, wine country, lakes. For areas of the country that have very little water supply, we're on a great lake, we have Finger Lakes, we have an abundance of water. You can walk, hike, bike, swim, golf, sleep, go to sporting events, whatever you want to do. You're probably less than an hour away from every amenity the person would want to have.
And that's terrific. When we have these meetings and conventions in town, that's one of our selling points. You can be in downtown Rochester and have your meeting, and in 45 minutes, you can be water skiing on a Finger Lake. You can be at a wine tasting. There's something like 68 wineries on Seneca Lake alone. This region is fantastic. One of the wine magazines recently promoted the Finger Lakes as the best wine region in the country. And that included Napa Valley, because they included all the other things there are to do in the Finger Lakes.
Having been very city-centered in a different part of my life, having an office in a city, I think the key to our success in the future is to think regionally. The city's a big part of that. Every successful region has a strong city core, but the region here really is going to be probably one of the greatest assets that we have. So we have to think regionally, and I think that's a big example. We've known each other for years, but I think we have to collaborate, not just in Monroe County and the city, but really across all 9 counties that we have here, and look for ways that we collaborate. We see a lot of that, and I'm just seeing a sea change right now of people just pulling together and working together. Some of these silos are starting to disappear, and that's how we get to be more successful.
You came together for the second edition of the We Rock book. Any future plans for other projects, other collaborations?
The nice thing is, I think we all get along so well. I think the opportunities are endless. So
It was great when Bob called me, and I loved the first one. And he said, Don, he said, I've got this idea. He said, I think we ought to cooperate on we're going to do the We Rock. We're going to do a second, we're in.
Yep.
And he said, well, what we're going to do, I said, no, Bob, we're in. We're in. You don't have to sell it anymore. We're here. So, and we look at Monroe County as the gateway to the Finger Lakes. So you can have the great restaurants and the tourist attractions, and then, as we said earlier, 45 minutes be on a great wine tour. It's the most beautiful region in the country.
Yeah. We have a Marion County executive that get along very well, a great relationship. I think we have relationships across all the agencies. Matt Hurlbut from GRE, Vinny Esposito from Empire State Development, and go right. Everybody, it's a great time. And then look at our business leaders that I think are looking for ways to cooperate. And you can't say it's always been that way across the board, but I'm just seeing a sea change now, and we either collaborate or we don't succeed. So I think that's part of what we're all going to do. And to answer your question, I think there'll be many, many more projects coming down the road. And if Don called tomorrow asking for our support for something, I'd be in too, because if he's passionate about something, I know it's a good thing for this area, and we're going to help any way we can. And nobody cares who gets credit. Just we share it, and we do it as a team. And I think if we keep thinking along that way, we're going to be very, very successful.
What's the biggest difference between the first edition and the second edition?
We eliminated one photo that I didn't like, and we have a nice picture of the graphic we have now. That's an old picture. Yeah, this is the new one here.
Where do these go? Where do we distribute these? Just where do they go?
They go.
Well, one of the cool things about the partnership is that, we have a couple distribution specialists. It's our job to make sure the people that check into the hotels, come to the restaurants, come to the attractions, know about us, know about, we have people at the airport, we have people at the ice rinks. So any time a visitor comes here, and we have a hotel book that's in the hotel rooms, but this is such a cool addition to that, because it's light, it's easy, when people come to Jazz Fest. What is there to do? At Jazz Fest this year, our information booth, we counted people from 14 different countries. Here's 100 cool things about Rochester.
It's on New York State Thruway. It's in libraries, in businesses. People have been great. People have come in and carved out boxes. RIT, U of R, colleges, universities. you know, when parents come to bring their kids to go to college, they want a little bit more, so our university partners, our businesses, as Don mentioned, all the agencies, people have it. 10,000 copies have gone pretty quickly. Another 10,000 now, and I'm sure we'll have a third edition, and we'll take suggestions for adjustments in what we do, but it's been a great document and very, very well received so far.
Yeah.
Digital edition as well.
Yep. There's a digital edition, so check our website out. So we like the hard copy as well, but it is online, and especially for you know, those folks that don't look at hard copies, they're on their iPhones and tablets. It's there for them. Please get into the website, and we have both our websites.
Right. And it's a perfect thing to hand out. One of the things we do at Visit Rochester is that at every check-in day for the U of R, RIT, when the parents come to drop the kids off and they go check them in, we have a booth there, and this is what we hand them. Here's 100 cool things. Next time you come in, just don't drop the person off and take off. Enjoy Rochester.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You love that, that's good.